Oregon at Penn State. We've waited for this one. This is Saturday. This is 7:30 Eastern on NBC. You know what that means, kids. Whiteout in conference play. Whomst amongst us thought we'd ever see it again? We thought the whiteout was a thing of the past. Like Andy Griffith in black and white. You hear about it from the olds, but you think, I'll never see it myself. Well, here it is. We see the whiteout as God intended it. At night, in front of the world, with a top 5 opponent in town. Number 2 versus number 3 in the Big Ten odds right here. Number 2 versus number 3 in the college football playoff odds. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way. We have to do it. James Franklin is a massive friend of this program. James Franklin is also 4-20 versus the top 10 at Penn State. There you go. All right, I read the stat. You know the thing. I read the stat. The dynamics give Penn State a massive edge here. We've talked about it since spring because we had the schedule in hand already. So here's what Oregon's working against. Poor Oregon. At last check, they're still going to show up. But poor Oregon. They are taking a young team on the road for the first time. Penn State is off a bye, so you've got that just alone. That's a huge deal. You've got the whiteout. I mean, you've got Oregon having ripped Montana State and Oklahoma State and Northwestern and Oregon State to pieces, and no one's put an ounce of pressure on them. And now the pressure is going to be felt in what some would call the most hostile environment college football has to offer. I wouldn't even be pushing back on that. By the way, I've seen a whiteout, but it was Auburn. And Jesse tells me that that's not as good as what this will be. That's what Jesse tells me, at least. So that's what you have to go up against if you're Oregon. Make no mistake about this. All the keys everyone's going to point out, this is about Drew Allar. That's who this game's about. There is a world where Penn State runs for 200 and they still lose. And I know that because I watched them run for 297 against Oregon in the Big Ten championship game last year, and guess what? They still lost. So, all due respect to the ground game, I assume they'll get theirs. I know they will. No one's going to shut down Penn State running the ball. But Drew Allar, some of these look like typos. He's 2 of 9 on throws of over 20 yards in the air so far this year. Now, Josh, they hadn't played anybody. You're right. I'll get back to that in a second. Also, they've had 6 explosive passes all year. That's good for 95th in the country. So top 100, I guess. Josh, but they haven't played anybody. All right, I've heard you guys say that to me over and over again. Here's my question. Are you insinuating they're holding something back? Of course they're holding something back. Are you insinuating to me that Penn State actually just possesses the ability to stretch the field vertically any old time they want to, and they've simply bottled that up so far? If you're right, this is a really big deal. And if you're right, I need to pick Penn State to win this game, and they will emerge from this as a bona fide national championship contender. Now, Oregon has the 50th run defense in the country. So again, I expect Penn State to do a fair amount of business on the ground. Like I said, they ran it for 300 in the Big Ten championship game. They lost. So that is not the padlock stat that some want to make it out to be. Now, here's what else has to happen here. Dante Moore, quarterback for Oregon, really good player, has not faced this kind of environment. They got to go in there and try to maintain what they've been doing and avoid the crowbar. They got to avoid crowbar theory working its way into this game. They've had 31 plays of 20-plus through the air already this year. And if you hadn't watched Oregon, and judging by their competition so far, you probably haven't, he's near 75% completion. So if I'm a Penn State fan, I'm listening to that. I'm just, yeah, I know he's good. Yeah, he hadn't faced us. And you're right. He hadn't faced you. DeCorian Moore versus A.J. Harris, if that's the matchup we get in this game, A.J. Harris, I think he's been thrown at like once all year. No one's dumb enough to even throw to him. Central of Phoenix City high school product, by the way. Oregon will throw that way. I don't care who you're putting on DeCorian Moore, they're going to make you prove that there's not anything to be done on that side of the field. But Oregon's offensive line going on the road against the number 12 pressure rate defense in the country, that's really what we're looking at here. Because there is, of course, as much as I said there's a world where Penn State's rushing numbers don't end up being the end-all, be-all, there is a world where they do end up winning the game because Penn State and the pressure they can put on Oregon kind of puts them in a blender, and Penn State realizes, oh, we can compress the game. Oh, wow, 23 is going to win this game. 24 points going to win this game. Wow. Well, maybe Drew doesn't need to throw it all over the place. Yeah, that's possible. Remember, Jim Knowles, who is the DC at Penn State now, faced Oregon twice last year. Faced Will Stein twice last year. Once in Eugene, and then they just completely overhaul everything about their approach and suffocated them a few months later in Pasadena. It was like not even the same teams playing. Hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round, and we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. Penn State's got to finish drives here. They got to finish drives. So, touchdown percentage in the red zone. Oregon 16th. Penn State 88th. What I cannot stand, especially if I'm picking Penn State, is I can't stand these games where I got a lot of hope as they're moving down the field. The Ohio State game was kind of like this last year. Got a lot of hope moving down the field, and then just settle for three, because the other guy sometimes doesn't settle for three. If it's that kind of game, again, if it just goes the way that is not Penn State, can't you hear the call-in shows? Can't you imagine the message board threads? Oh, more of the same. Look good between the 20s. Couldn't finish drives. 30-26 final because we couldn't punch it in, and they did. I mean, especially when you've got all these edges tilted your way. Oh, this is a very young Oregon team on the road. There's every reason for them to just go learn a tough lesson against you, and you teach the tough lesson. You win this game because you're supposed to win this game. And they lose this game, and they look and say, oh, it's not the end of the world. We'll be a different team 2 months from now. That's the way this is kind of supposed to play out. What has Penn State saved for this game? To get back to that theory, strong working theory, a lot of my Penn State folks share this theory, and that is, yeah, offense has been pretty bowling shoe ugly so far. That's okay, though. That's okay because we haven't had to show anything. People have been talking about Penn State's first 3 games like they're spring games. We're not showing anything against Nevada or FIU or Villanova. Cool. Well, if that theory is correct, and to some extent it has to be correct, this is where you break it out. I got an over-under for you. This is not available at FanDuel. It could be. Jesse, call FanDuel. I got a good prop for them. So, my prop is, well, first let me tell you my theory. I think there are issues with the Penn State passing game. I don't think Penn State's going to light the world on fire through the air. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm probably not, though. So here's my question. How many Penn State snaps does Drew Allar not take? Now, I'm not talking about injury. Okay, no one's predicting injury. Drew Allar's healthy Saturday. I'm asking you, how many snaps offensively for Penn State go to someone other than Drew Allar? And I'm going to set the over-under at 5.5. Where do you go? Penn State folks especially. Where do you go? I think I'm over. We moved it from 4.5 to 5.5, so there was some internal movement in the office today. I'm going to take the over. I think they get as not desperate, but competitively creative as a Penn State offensive game plan has been in quite a while. I think they know they have to do it. That's how I think the game will play out. Having said that, let's take a look at what the model thinks. FanDuel right now has Penn State as a 3.5-point favorite. The model disagrees completely. It has it at a pick'em. So the model's strong lean towards Oregon. I'm going to make a principled call here. I'm going to go against the model. And 75% of our audience, apparently in the poll I posted earlier today, Penn State's just got to win this game. They've just got to win the game. You could not write this thing with any more edge tilted towards Penn State than there is. So, of course, Oregon, phenomenal team. By the end of the year, if they face off again, I'd probably pick Oregon. In this spot, I'm just telling you, I think it's a desperation spot for Penn State. They have geared up for this thing all spring, all summer. They know what's at stake. They know, I mean, if they lose this thing, the odds of going into Columbus and winning in another month or two, not great. It's going to be tough anyway. They've just got to get it. One of these things, one of these big games eventually has to go their way. And I just think, if you're listening on podcast, I'm doing that thing where you put the index finger and the thumb on the insides of the eyes, but I don't even have a headache. I'm just preparing. I'm going to take Penn State in a big game. I'm going to take James Franklin in a big game. There's the poll, immunity. I posted this earlier today. We got like nearly 14,000 votes on this. And I basically posed this question. The entire fate of the world rides on you being right. Who wins this game Saturday? And 74% of the country picked the 3.5-point underdog to win the game outright. So where are we as a society? I'm going to ask a lot of Mike Gundy questions here. Where are we as a society? 75% of you say, I don't even need the points. Just give me Oregon outright. My goodness.